should be done in song. Just like, in the top left, it's Cure again. He won the first series, but then he lost against Solar. It didn't work, it didn't rhyme. My singing is a bit of a crime. It's classic. Da 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 da. He's gonna rock this world. It's okay. I'm really gonna shut up. TvP best of 3 to wrap up our day, and look to see how things are going to go on King's Cove. So Kia played Classic on King's Cove earlier in the second game they played, and this was the game that was a lot more one-sided. By the way, can I just press my spacebar for a sec here? There we go. My spacebar was hanging out on my keyboard somehow. Usually that happens after I punch my keyboard after losing the game, but not this time. So yeah, King's Cove. Now, Cure on this last time was kind of had this doom drop over here, if you remember, right? And Classic saw it and had an army here and just moved it away and just fell apart. And I felt like Classic was in a really good position up until that point. So really, I just think Classic has to sharpen up a little bit and just kind of... I feel like he was putting himself in great positions, but then the execution of those positions was terrible. You know, in the first game, fight after fight, he just ran into too many Widow Mines. The connections from those were amazing every single time. So it's just a little bit of kind of tidying and polishing, and I would not be surprised if Classic was able to turn this around from earlier and take down Cure here. I think Classic is good enough to do that, but I think we also saw the potential for that in the first series. It's just, again, those little things, and you know, a couple hours later on, maybe a bit more warmed up, a bit more focused, maybe a bit more, you know, saying to himself, okay, well, I know what I have to be a bit more careful of now, and what I need to be paying a bit more attention to. Maybe that's just all he needs to kind of turn on the right things in his mind, and to play that little bit better here. As Cure will scout no expansion, so of course is aware that something a bit funky is going on, and Classic is going to be building probably a Stargate here. I mean, this is kind of where he built that Stargate in the PvP earlier. So there is Stargate dropping down. And well, this SCV from Cure, I mean, just basically seizing the main one pylon, double gas. I mean, again, the lack of a Nexus was already enough of a sign, but now he has even more kind of telltale little bits and pieces. Is this probe going to hide up in this corner a little bit, so you can build the Nexus in a moment. And that's going to be quite nice, because it just hides the fact that obviously the probe is there from the SCV. So just trying to hide as much information as possible. Because if you see this probe already here and you didn't see it come down from the main base, you might be able to assume that this proxy is actually not as close to your base as you might have originally thought, for example, right? So it's, again, just those little tiny pieces of information that you could perhaps potentially match together. As we're going to be seeing. The SCV does see the Nexus on the way, so knows this isn't completely committed one-base play. And Depth going to shade up here. Bunker already finished up. We haven't really looked back at Kira's side of the map, but a very early bunker of a Marine inside. Reaper is looking for the proxy, so coming around the top side of the map. But built a reactor before he built the... built a Marine before he built the reactor, sorry, so he was able to, hence, get something in the bunker here as the Adept shades past it, though, and forced the SCV to run away. Factory goes straight to a Tech Labs, no messing around there at all. And Classic's actually going to build Phoenix. Wow, so that's actually really going to be a bit of a mind game on Q's side of things, because now Q is going to be like, well, you know what, there's no... You know, no Oracle shows up, so it's maybe not a Stargate, but then what is it? You know, it really becomes very difficult for him to figure out what exactly is going on here. So we've seen the Robo Facility dropping in on the natural expansion. The Nexus here finishes up as well. A few more probes going to be starting through. So yeah, just building up that Phoenix count. Now, a Cyclone on the way out is actually not going to be great in this scenario, because the Cyclone against the Phoenix is probably the worst. The Phoenix is probably the worst case scenario for a Cyclone. Like, imagine it's an Oracle you can lock on, you can push it away, right? Now, is this Adept? Is going to go down? Is this me? That's one of our Chinese casters. So, basically the Cyclone, if you imagine it's against a Robo, it could lock onto the Warp Prism and push that away. If it's against an Oracle, it can lock onto that and push that away. You know, a Cyclone is very good, but against Phoenix, it just gets lifted up and the lock-on gets cancelled at the very least, right? So already, that's very frustrating in that regard. As we do see, Siege Tank here is going to be about halfway done. A couple more Marines coming out as well. This Phoenix still being chrono boosted as... He's got quite a few Phoenix. I mean, this is 5 Phoenix that are going to show up for the first time round. I mean, they could just go straight in and get a bunch of these units. I mean, that's the Cyclone lifted up. He shouldn't lose a Phoenix here. He does. 6 around maybe just a little bit too long there. I kind of thought maybe he could have lifted up some of the Marines first, but I guess there's a lot more Marines than what he's able to really lift. 4 SCVs and a Cyclone. 4 Phoenix is not bad, of course, but obviously Phoenix are one of those units that, because they build up energy, the longer you keep them alive, the better, right? So it's a bit of a shame to lose one, but also not game-ending. Picking off some Marines now as well. One of the bigger, weaker parts of kind of Phoenix openings is larger pushes that maybe your Phoenix aren't really kind of prepped to deal with because you've been building Phoenix and they're not the greatest of straight-up fighting units, although they can help quite a lot against larger bio pushes where they may be the weakest. But if you pick away at that bio force a little bit, it just chips down the numbers, and you can see an Immortal on the way up here as well. So Classic really making sure he's got just some units out back at home to help defend if needed. As the Robo-Bay comes up, then he gets Colossus up, then he'll be in a much safer position in general. Another few SCVs going down. Phoenix a little bit tucked into that corner now, but it looks like they'll try and come back down, and they can run back through the main base, find themselves another Marine here. So really just kind of going for whatever they can find at the moment. And again, it feels like Classic is kind of like what we saw in the first game of the first series that these guys played today. Classic kind of is back in control almost a little bit, and yeah, I kind of, feels like that's going pretty well here as these Marines come up, and Phoenix take a bit more damage again. I'm going to see missile turrets dropping down too. Forge finishes up on that natural expansion. Stimpack combat shields plus 1 attack still all continue to come on through as well. Viking drops down. Is actually going to be quite successful. 3 workers again picked off. Viking lifts, but to no avail. I mean, sentries and a stalker can also shoot up. Phoenix are back for even more SCVs, so makes up for the probe losses right away. Army is moving down, but I mean, it is really just pure Marines, and 1 Colossus alone is already actually pretty good against pure Marines, so not really feeling too concerned or worried for Classic dealing with that attack. There's a couple of sentries as well, right, so the force fields can just help him buy a bit of time if needed and so on. Especially just because Thermal Lance isn't done just yet, right, so you might need that. We'll recall the Phoenix here, just realizing, okay, well, the army's not, at home, so just going to have the Phoenix at home to help out. It's good because obviously now you can chase down the Medivacs as well, so if the units try and lift up and leave, you can actually chase those down with the Phoenix. So it's not just about being able to straight up defend, it's about maybe being able to make the most of your defense here. And that's maybe the big part of this. We're going to see, actually that's just a stim away. Medivac's boosting, actually Phoenix lift up one of the Marauders. Lost 2 Phoenix, pretty good target fire out of Kira in that regard. Kira does have the +1 attack upgrade, which is helping. +1 attack from Classic, not done just yet, and I feel like Classic's chasing very far forwards here. Lift up another Marine, just again killed what he can. So he lost a couple of Phoenix in that fight, was maybe a little bit messy, maybe they didn't need to be that far forwards, was maybe a bit too eager with that Marauder lift up and that Medivac pickoff, but I still feel it's like kind of the right idea in the first place, right? So as the Phoenix come back over to the natural, you can see that Colossus moving around the back, another Forge will start up. 2 more barracks dropping down in the main base. There's a 3rd CC also on the way, so here preparing for the next stages, the later stages of this game now. So here again, that ready to go again. This Colossus is about to finish. +2 attack. On the way on that Forge, to straight into more attack upgrades, which with Colossus attack upgrades being prioritized is very regular. As you can see, I mean, the other Forge is about to finish too, right? So +1 armor will be on the way soon enough anyways. Couple Phoenix over to this right side. Looks like they're trying to find that Medivac. The other 2 Phoenix still down the bottom, but somehow drops have slipped by both sets of Phoenix, and it's a bit of a shame because now Probes in the main base, there's just nothing to defend this here, so Classic a bit out of position. I believe recall, well, he just can't recall in the main, he's got no energy, so yeah, 8 Probes go down, he's going to lose pylons as well. Colossus obviously able to walk up the ramp helps. But yeah, losing power to some gateways. Bottom line drop comes in. Kills a few probes as well. So in the end, 8 workers, I mean, definitely not a bad start. Oh, this is nice. Obviously, the Phoenix able to hunt down these Medivacs. And is going to start getting those kills pretty quickly. Medivacs will boost. Oh my god, the damage is split across them. Full Medivac goes down in the end, so... yeah, Classic takes damage, but he completely cleans it up, right? And because he gets all the kills, it puts him into a much better position. So that definitely does help out quite a bit. I'm also going to be seeing the other Medivac here from Kira coming up to the top side. A few Vikings set up at the top as well. Temple Archives just about 25% of the way done. SCV is going to move over towards the third base, which now Q is finally able to establish. 10 minutes in game, though. I mean, it feels. I mean, I know Terrans generally expand later than the Protoss, right? But it feels late as well, like on top of the rest of it. So, what's up, Monty? And thank you so much for the 19-month resub. Got some love in the chat for Monty. And how you doing, dude? Thanks so much for the constant resubscriptions. As you see a scan on top of this Protoss army, Q knows what's coming his way. Plus one armor about to finish. There'll be a slight upgrade lead in this attack for Classic if he wants to commit to it. Widow Mines are getting picked off very easily. I mean, that was a nice War Prism lift up to save the unit and then reveal the Widow Mine, considering there's no observer here. Got picked off by a scan in the Vikings. 3 Archons morphing in. So Archons obviously make a big difference. A couple of hallucinated Colossus as well. That means you have to drop another scan on this army during the fight, otherwise you don't know which Colossus are real and which aren't. So that's just, again, more scan energy being used up. Is there a scan even available? There is one. And here he goes. These units start pressing up that ramp. Classic isn't super eager though. He's building a 4th base at home. 3-2 upgrades on the way. He wants to poke around a little bit. The first Viking shots do hit at real Colossus. And scan obviously helping in that regard as... Well, here we go. Zealots are going to start charging forwards a little bit. Looks as though Classic really isn't too eager to attack in at all. I think Classic knows that at the end of the day, it's probably just better for him to truly keep on tacking up, and that's what he will do. Storm on the way. You know, next set of upgrades. Going to keep that upgrade lead that he already has. Model about halfway down. A couple more High Templars warping in on the natural as well. This army of Classic just moving around in the center of the map. Vikings up to the top. A factory hanging out there as well. As the Scythe Storm upgrade is going to finish in the next few moments, we have again +3 attack and +2 armor. Just over halfway done for the moment. Nice little bit of bio stimming forward. Zealot has to pull away. Zealot is going to fall down there, so Zealot gets picked off in the center of the map. Again, TT upgrades going to be finishing shortly. As these extra barracks finish up in the main base. Here, pressing down to the bottom side. A couple of EMPs going off and they're trying to see what they can find. Another storm drops down as well. Fire units once more. Getting picked away at. Oh, huge EMP though hits the High Templar. Oh no, suddenly there's no storms available. Has to morph in the Archons. Well, this makes life a lot easier of course. The Archons here not attacking the Vikings. The Vikings are just going huge on the Colossus. Man, those EMPs were absolutely critical. Now though, the Vikings are going to be shut down. Well, it's just the War Prism that's left. There's no Colossus in play. Trying to make a disruptor. Is there any more High Templar up? I don't think there is. Upgrades are going to be finishing here from both players in a moment or so. A few SCVs going down, but whatever that was, harassment has been dealt with. It's going to be seeing another scan on top of this army. Looks as though Q is now going to take his turn to back away and not to overcommit. Disruptors on the way out then, so I like the Disruptors at this stage of the game, right? I mean, obviously it's kind of something they can build up instead of Colossus because he thought there was too many Vikings, but a Disruptor goes a long way to forcing the Terran to have to pay so much attention to something, or at a point when maybe they don't want to present attention. But there's a stim up there, doesn't really find anything. There you go, this army pressing forwards. Planetary Fortress is not morphed in just yet, so actually that's not going to help out too much with this in terms of dealing some extra damage. It's obviously a huge concave from our Terran player though, and I don't think Classic is really going to be able to do much in this. Kind of just missing splash damage. The Archons alone are just not going to be able to do enough. He warps in another round as Zealots. It's still kind of close, but I don't think it's close enough as the Zealots will just go down very quickly. 17 SCVs killed, but Classic's army supply is down in the gutter. Again, he's missing the AoE. He doesn't have High Templars warped in, so he doesn't have Storm. He lost all his Colossus in the previous fight. And it just feels like, again, Classic is losing fights. And it's just the little things in the engagements that are not working out for him compared to everything else. Where he is, I feel, putting himself into good positions and so on. He's just struggling with the engagements. And now, well, he's got like a 15-ish worker lead, but he's got a lot of army supply to make up for. And I'm just so surprised we're not seeing him warp in more High Templar. Okay, now he has got High Templar, but it feels like he needed those High Templar a little bit earlier on, honestly. I mean, I don't know why he didn't warp them in after the end of the last fight when Kyo was attacking, because Classic was in no way in need of attacking there himself right then, so if he wanted to wait for a storm, he could have done. And so, yeah, that's why I find surprising, especially if the Colossus is dead. I feel like you need the storm, because you need some sort of true splash. Archons don't quite cut it. And the Disruptors there was only one of them, and it wasn't even in the fight right away, right? So, just didn't really have what he needed initially there. Stargate from earlier in the game is going to be trying to be saved by a couple of storms. The Archon morphing in. I'm very surprised he didn't just lift up the 2 High Templar in the Warp Prism, man. I feel like there's just a lot of little things here from Classic that could just be done a lot better, right? Like, imagine he drops those storm and the Warp Prism just lifts up the Temple, and then he's got a whole 2 High Templar still alive. Right, so feels like that was something that maybe could have been a little bit better there. One Medivacs through the bottom side, going to try and drop down as we see the cannon firing away. Medivac's taking some damage as they boost through into the main base. Zealot's starting to warp in. Curb's taking some shots. Nice storm. Warp Prism coming in as the response there with the High Templar inside. Just needs another couple of Zealots. These drops are causing a lot of issues for Classic. Another 2 storms and warps in the Archon straight away afterwards. I mean, that's a shame because, again, he only has 2 High Templar left, so he really doesn't want to be morphing in the Archon every single time. So that's going to run by. This is quite nice. The army a little bit out of position, so the Zealots should be able to deal some damage at least. They split in a couple different directions, just make it a bit more difficult to be cleaned up. And again, a couple SCVs, I mean, turning around, picking up a Marine or so. Over here we'll get a few more units as well. I mean, 6 workers. It wouldn't be so bad if Classic wasn't in as much trouble in terms of just his army, right? Because he is still quite low on army supply. I like what he's doing here. Very mobile units, Stalkers, Disruptors, just trying to find a couple of shots. I mean, if you can clip those ghosts with a Disruptor shot, for example, that would be truly incredible. Here, setting up a 5th base. Classic has only just got his own 5th base online, so both these players, in terms of the base number, they're both moving along at the kind of right sort of timing. Liberator setup. Hanji got a shot off on, I think picked off a DT or shot off on the DT. So moves into the main, going to pick off the missile turret. And that's nice to just forces a scan, right? So PSCVs scan. I mean, it's definitely still not a bad little trade. Classic's army supply has been growing again, but oh god. I mean, the initial EMPs are again just ridiculous. I don't think Classic can ever imagine. I mean, there's no way, right? I mean, I don't mind the Disruptors trying to find something, but there's just no way. And as we see DT Blink on the way, by the way, we also see another Stargate, and I would imagine we're going to see Fleet Beacon and Tempest production starting up, because he's just at that point where there's so many Liberators that you just need something to deal with them, and you know, he doesn't really, I mean, Stalker's blinking into those Liberators, it's just not going to end well, right? You're blinking into bio units, firing EMPs, it's just not going to end well at all for you, so I have to be very, very careful about that, and that's again why I think at this stage, I think Tempests are absolutely kind of what you would expect. Now, he just built the 1 Stargate. I wonder if he forgot that he still had this one alive. So he's built that Stargate to build the Fleet Beacon. To then maybe add another extra Stargate. Yeah, I think he just forgot he already had a Stargate. So you could have already started the Fleet Beacon. Obviously a bit of a crazy game. That Stargate hasn't been in play for a long time. So not that ridiculous to forget about it. Nice catch on these Medivacs though. It's a great little movement by Classic there. Even this Liberator though is just causing so many problems. That advanced ballistics in. Allowing him to just be that little bit out of reach, and again, just going to force more than one Stalker to be able to deal with this, to poke it down or whatever, right? Classic through the top side with the Prism. Storm on the mineral line. Interesting choice, a single High Templar Storm drop. One Prism gets killed by the missile turrets here. Storms are currently protecting with some cannons this left-hand side as well. I actually think the cannons do very well here, and if the Archon comes up, I actually think this is probably a defense on this position. This Archon will just back away. A couple of the Stormers coming through. Ah, wow, nearly a nice shutdown. He's going to find the Medivacs again. Sakir losing some of his Medivacs here. I've seen Classic still up the left-hand side again. He's got those Stargates up now. And that's why, again, I was expecting already to see Tempest in production, but he's seemingly holding off on them. It's a lot of Liberators, though, so I mean, I feel like he needs the Tempest. I think it's absolutely the right call. But again, just not going to commit into them just yet. As you can see, the DTs blink away to the side there. Again, that Shadow Stride upgrade. A fun little addition. Again, this is like very low High Templar count, right? There's not a lot of Storms in this army. Which is, again, just surprising, especially with such an air army now as well. Storms do very well against this. I mean, I know there's a lot of EMPs available, but there's definitely ways to play around that. Just feels like Classic doesn't want to, and his way to play around it is just to straight up say, okay, you know what, I'm just not going to play with Storms in my army, which seems ridiculous because Storms are so good. That's another drop, so 4 Zards, 2 Immortals. At this stage, the Immortals don't do as much or as well, so not a surprise to see those being used as a form of harassment more so than anything else. And it's actually probably better in the main base as a kind of harassment technique than anything else. Drop the Immortals though, he only gets 1 off. Oh my god. I mean, probably could have just started dropping a moment sooner. Okay, well that just achieved absolutely nothing. There's double Prism. It kind of looked silly, right? Like, it actually really did. Classic's going to use it as a chance to maybe position his army elsewhere. Oh, he's going to blink in on top of some Ghosts. Disruptor shot doesn't quite find what he's looking for. The Vikings are going to kill the Colossus if he's not careful because, I mean, there's just so many of them. He doesn't have that much anti-air. He's trying to fight against Liberators, but there's so many Liberators. Classic has to get away. I mean, Tempests are on the way up, and there's a reason he's building those. Absolutely. 6 bases from both players are established. Classic even with a 7th off to the left side. And something Kira has not quite pushed his way towards just yet. He had 22 minutes into King's Cove. Nukes on the way in plenty. We saw more Ghost Academies being added, and that is why. So the nukes are getting set up at the moment. Nukes on the way. Army coming out to the center. Bio down the left. Salts and a few DTs defending a couple of rows on the right. This is going to be the 7th base of Classic denied here, but not the end of the world. He still has a good amount of bases to work with, and if you can pick these units, this is actually still very good for him, obviously, right? Because it's a lot of units that go down, and it's 2 of the full medevacks that will die. Yeah, this is nice. A lot of units killed off for the base. Salts and DTs are going to go jumping in on this base as well. Kind of just going for the Plant B Fortress, but now the repair comes through. Not sure what the real intention was there. Just that Kyo wasn't going to repair. Feels a little bit crazy. Only pushing up through the center of the map. Another scan down on the bottom side. Nuke starts up on this base. The couple High Templar in range of that as well, so we'll have to be careful. Again, these Tempests definitely giving you that range to make something happen here. I think Classic is distracted and just doesn't know about this nuke, and so it's going to land. High Templar and probes are dropping. The other Ghost, I think, has been picked off here. Sorry, guys, we're having a couple of frame drops. I'm not sure what's going on. My connection to Korea today is just a little bit funky. It's been a little bit weird. Ghost goes down on the bottom side there. Got a few cannons setting up, another nuke lined up. Ghost gets, well, actually just cancels it. Was in range of a cannon, I think, so. Yeah, nice attempts of harassment by Kyo, though. I mean, the first nuke was actually very successful. But DT will find and will kill the Ghost, so. These guys are really brawling it out here. Classic gets that base set up again. He's now moving his entire army around the right-hand side. I'm still just so surprised there's no High Templar really being brought into play here. 11 DTs on the map, by the way. And he wants to blink on top of these Ghosts, I think, and just go for this. Oh my god, this is actually really bad for these Ghosts. There's a lot of Ghosts going down, man. Jumps on top of them. EMPs don't really do anything. That's a huge amount of losses for Kira there. As these DTs start to run away. Another scan lines up a snipe. Man, that was like 6 or 7 Ghosts. I mean, I guess it is, again, quite a few DTs too. Tempest finding some shots in the center. There's so many. I mean, in what world could you fight this without Storm, though? There is 25 Vikings. In what world do you not want Storm to help out with this? I just really don't understand what Classic is assuming or thinking here to not want High Templars in his. I just don't get it. I mean, now he's actually killed a bunch of Ghosts. There's not as many Ghosts as there was before. Here we go. I mean, you're going to be seeing those Vikings pressing forwards, and there's just no anti-air. There's like 5. Well, actually, how many Stalkers is there? There's 9 Stalkers. There's just not enough. I'm not even sure where that nuke's going. Okay, it landed just on this side of the army, so it didn't actually connect with anything. Another huge amount of DTs and Zealots coming around. Again, just imagine with storms that those Vikings can't just run in like they did. It's a completely different scenario. And these DTs are going to blink on top of this base, right? So they're just going to go for the planetary fortress. There's so many of the DTs. This time the repair will not be enough. Although Missile Turret's still alive, there's still a lot of DTs just for the sake of what? Denying a base? That's 400 minerals, but there's like 5 or 6 DTs went down. Another nuke lines up. This base has been hammered by these nukes so far. Goes on the high ground, just making the most of his position. Oh my god, Classic. No, Classic! Oh my god, talk about the last second denial. I always thought it was too late to cancel a nuke there. There's like one point where the nuke is going to land even if the ghost dies. I thought that was it. I thought Classic's army was just about to die, but no. Just found that ghost in the last second. My god, Classic is making this one a scary, a terrifying game to watch. GT is still hanging out on the right army. Oh, we're going to find 2 ghosts in the center of the map. Nicely done. Scan, dead center as well. And again, there's Tempests down on the bottom. Moving along, so 5 of them just hanging out. Stalkers, Disruptors, and Colossus all gather together as well. The 27-minute marker. Both players are really just going to take a few moments here. On both sides of the map, the War Prisms from Classic moving up the left. And even nuke lines itself up on top of this base. Those probes perhaps in a little bit of trouble here, actually. Looks as though our nuke is going to land. Meanwhile, DT's coming up to the top side. That's 11 probes that go down. DTs and Zealots back away down the right. Another nuke lining up on the bottom left, but will not connect. Nukes just everywhere, and of course it's just such a frustration for Classic to run around the map dealing with this now. Such a hell of a nuke right on top of that pylon. The pylons get picked off right there, and well, Tempest count just continues to rise up. Now he does have a couple high Templars with the army, so he's got Storms a bit more available. These high Templars have been the only high Templars he's had for a while. We're kind of defending this base. How do you fight this? Looks like Classic kind of wants to come, well, kind of from the high ground is obviously a bit weird. He's going to go just for the Liberator that's in range of the high ground to get rid of that. A couple of EMPs drop down. Obviously the Tempests coming to make themselves known already. A few Vikings flying forward. Stalks will blink, and that definitely wasn't quite how Keo wanted things to go. Meanwhile, GTs and Zealots all over the place in the main base too. Nuke drops down. Does land in this base. Will be cleaned out with that aid. And these Stalkers are picking apart these Vikings. The Vikings going down very quickly. So again, the Zealots and DTs in the main getting rid of Ghost Academies, and the production in general is going to be in a lot of trouble here. And Classic is going to break his way through this army in the center of the map. Another nuke lined up. I don't think that Ghost should survive, though. It shouldn't survive. Detection? No, no observer. Okay, well, Classic can just move to the side. Nuke will not connect on anything too important. The army in the main base has cleaned up. And now you see the War Prisms trying to find elsewhere to drop these Zealots off and to get a bit more damage done. Drops onto this third as Classic takes the opportunity of having cleaned out a lot of units to push up the right-hand side. He wants to try and hit this planetary fortress on the top. Vikings already coming through. EMPs are landing. We're going to be seeing these Tempests continue to try and fight as well. A lot of Tempests continuing to fall. Stalkers having to blink away. A couple of Storms don't actually connect. They're just a little bit too preemptive. These Ghosts trying to find something as well. But Classic down 60 supply now. This is actually ridiculous. Like, Classic is truly struggling to take decent fights, I feel. Gathers up on the right. EMP lands on 2 High Templar. And this is a push from Q that I'm actually afraid for Classic to know how he's going to deal with it. Because now, you know, Liberators are set up aggressively. I mean, 2 War Prisoners are just going to die as they spawn. Feels like the Tempests are going to die as they spawn as well. This one on the right-hand side is. Pops out, gets shot down, doesn't do anything. So many Vikings here. Nuke going to land on this base. Oh my god, the Vikings just flew into the nuke! Kua blows up about 5 or 6 of his own Vikings there. Could have been worse, but obviously not kind of how you want things to go. Storm's dropping on top of this bio army. A few more kills coming down. But this is it. I mean, the natural Classic being picked apart. Classic's going to move across the map in an attempt to counter force what is a bit of a non-mobile army composition from Kua to reposition. Going to try and catch it off guard. I just feel like Kua has the better army. And here we go. We're going to see this fight starting up. The Liberators on siege, though. The Disruptor shots scare away a lot of the bio. Needed. The Liberators are sieging up, though, and the Tempers are still getting picked off. The Stalkers on the ground will fall as well because of the Liberators. And suddenly Classic's army does just evaporate. So, yes, that was not what Classic needed. He needed a lot more than that, as even the leftover Disruptor gets picked off, too. Kua with a huge win there, and that should be... Oh, my God, that War Prism. That should be unrecoverable for Classic, I think. Just lost a bit too much. Again, he's really struggling to fight this Terran army, and he was in the earlier series as well, in a very different scenario. Yeah, Classic's engagements just have not been what we kind of usually expect them to be, as Bio picks off this pylon, this Nexus is falling. Another scan on the bottom side, as we can see High Templar going through, an EMP lands. A couple of observers getting caught in that EMP. So yeah, Nexus goes down, the Bio going to pick away at this assembly, and more of these Libs continue to siege up. And again, as this nuke connects, you can see the cannon gets blown up, and well, I mean, it's just going to be a slow process for Kua cleaning up the map, right? Because Classic has a lot of structures. We're very late in the game. But eventually, I think it's going to be very difficult for Classic to turn this around. Good storm, though. Man, look how amazing these storms are. I mean, he didn't use Storm for, what, like 10 minutes of the game? Are you kidding me? My God. I just can't understand why he did go without Storm for certain points. And again, that massive DTs just felt like it never really found enough value either, as the last few results go down. That's GG, and Kua will pick up a game number 1 in a 1-0 lead with our blue Terran player in the bottom right-hand side. This is Kua against the red Protoss in the top left. Classic, who really is just struggling a little bit today in some of these matches. So he was struggling a little, but is kind of getting by. He's making some kind of good games out of it all, but he's just, again, like, he's making decent games out of it, but just can't quite finish games, I feel. And like, I feel like he gets into good positions and he lets it fall away, and some weirder choices later in the games as well. Like some choices where I'm like, well, does that really make, like, I just can't understand, like, I really can't get out of my head why he doesn't have the, I can't get it in my head why he can't, why he can't, like, why didn't add High Templar? Like, High Templar was so good. This is such a ridiculous thing in my mind. I just really can't get over that at all. It's crazy. You see the Nexus Cybercore setting up on the top left. You're going to see this Nexus from Classic dropping down as well. SCV of Kua going around through the center of the map, and again, just the Reaper just over halfway done, coming up to completion in a few moments' time. Command center drops down in the natural. Cybercore coming up. Reaper here from Kua going to be moving around, doing a little bit of a loop. And the probe heading back to the upper left as well. So probe back to the top left-hand side. We do see this SCV of Kua moving down to the bottom right. Bunker drops in from Kura's on this natural expansion. And the Twilight from Classic starting up as well in the main base. Adept has a little bit of a shade around there, doesn't quite know where it wants to end up at all. Probes still chrono boosting out. Classic going to ask for a quick little pause, hopefully nothing too serious, something we can get back in from in just a few moments, we would hope. So yeah, hopefully we can resume this shortly, as again Twilight Council's about halfway done, Sentry's about to be done. Classic, which is for that Twilight opening, very typical, very solid way to get started as Sorry and Go goes cold. Looks like we can resume. Referee will pause, nice and quick, they were on point. And back into it we go. Reaper is coming along here from Cure, so moving around through the center of the map. Again, Twilight Council is going to be completing in the next couple of moments, so I'll finish up shortly here as the Reaper hops up in towards the main base. The gate's not there in time, so Reaper does get into the main for the scout. That's unfortunate. That was like a split-second difference. I was going to see this Reaper. I was going to get a probe kill because of it too. So this is really nice, man. A little bit frustrating for Classic as Cure gets to see quite a lot here early on. Here on Thunderbird, nice large map for game number 2 as well, of course. So intrigued to see how this plays out. Because obviously we just saw King's Cove, which is very similar to Thunderbird in the sense of it's a nice large macro map, and it really did go the distance, and we really could see more of that now, as well as this hallucination from Classic coming down to the bottom right-hand side. Stimpack, +1 attack. Currently on the way in, the orbital about to complete, and the Marauder and Marines also continue to come on in now. Marines going after that hallucinated Phoenix. Factory going to finish here in the next few moments. And there's 2 Stalkers, an Adept, and a Sentry from Classic come down to the bottom side. Not sure if that's really going to do anything. I mean, we're literally talking like 4 gateway units. I'm not sure. Classic's made some weird move outs today, and this is one of them. I mean, he knows there's a bunker. I guess he's just trying to catch some very early units that push across the map, perhaps, but even that feels very dangerous with how few units this is, and like with the Sentry and the Adept as well. It's so strange. I'm just very, very surprised by this. I mean, the Wall Prism's on its way now, so obviously he just felt like he was going to be safe enough until the Wall Prism got there. Alright, it's going to be seeing the 1-1 upgrades coming through charge as well. Obviously with 3 bases up and running, it looks like we're going to have double upgrades too. A very gateway heavy kind of focus here from Classic in the early stages, so a lot of Stalkers, a lot of Zealots. And there's actually quite a few Stalkers now as he's going to push forwards, but I mean there's a good amount of bio here, +1 is done, Stim's not far off, so I think he should be okay. So the Stalkers are blinking back, just a single Marauder pickoff. I mean that's what you're aiming for with these Stalkers, little pickoffs, little bits of efficiency that can build up over time. And again, the 1-1 continues through. We're going to see the Warp Prism with the Adept and the Sentry. It's the weirdest harassment force I've ever seen. But that's going to bring in the Widow Mines over here. Oh my god, Classic's not paying attention! Classic! Oh my god, well he blinks into the main base at the same time, but losing the Prism, it just feels like Classic's trying to be all fancy and stuff, and it feels like he's not really getting anything out of being all fancy and stuff. So, as the SCVs continue to chase these Stalkers down, the Bio here is going to get a couple more of those Stalkers. I mean, recalling out on top of the Bio. Not pretty. Only 2 Stalkers get out alive. He kills 11 SCVs, but the army supply is heavily in Cure's favor. We have a 3rd base up as well, so rebuilding SCVs isn't too much of a problem. I feel like Cure just goes straight across the map right now. Classic is in a lot of trouble. Classic will have 1-1 upgrades up at least. Cure isn't too desperate to move across. I'm surprised because he did kill off a lot there. Starts +1 armor, starts up combat shield, so just going to play a bit of a slower setup now. Widow Mines being repaired. War Prism down to the bottom. Probe as well. +2 attack starts up on the Forge, +2 armor. Gonna keep on being Corona boosted. And the pylon coming through. All of these gateways setting up now in this main base. So all of these gateways coming up at the moment. As you're gonna see Zealots go charging forwards. A couple SCVs taking damage. The Widow Mines burn in the main trying to deflect that Prism. I'm still very afraid for Classic. I mean, theoretically, obviously Force Field should be good here to buy some time, etc. kind of like this, though. What if he just keeps Elevatoring up in this position? Like, he doesn't even need to drop Rain. What if he just drops here? He could even just Elevator up the rest of his units. Like, Classic would have been out of position. I guess then he's very stuck in that position, though. Okay, dropping the main base. That's even better, perhaps. Oh, my God. Look at the single pylon power in the Temple Archives. I'm just going to go and try and get a kill. Oh, my God. Widowmine's actually pretty good on the Zealots right away. Stalkers blink into the main. Medivacs will hide in the corner. Now some Bio going to stim towards the third base. Finds 2 sentries. 2 Zealots as well here. They're going to go down. So not bad pickoffs at all. And then we'll just escape. More reinforcements through the center of the map. War Prism's still trying to attack. Classic still trying to pick up further damage as these SCVs taking a few more shots. Widowmine onto the Prism. Gets a good first connection. And now a couple more Warpins. Nice deny with the Marine there. Good defense from Kira. And Classic is struggling, man. I mean, he really is. Rise 1-1 kicks in as well. I mean, upgrades a bit better for the Terran player. Classic is really struggling so far as we see 2-2 upgrades still coming through. Storm just about 10 seconds away from completion, so hopefully that will be something that will help him survive here, because he really is having a tough time. Maybe it will stop Kira from being able to commit into this fight now. It's a lot of Zealots actually, so probably will have a pretty decent role to play. Widowmine's powering up. First Widowmine doesn't do a lot. Again, those High Templars are scary. Ghost Academy's on the way, so already getting towards Ghosts for EMPs here. Bio units pulling back a little bit. Zealots taking quite a bit of damage. High Templar goes down. Got a Storm. A couple of Widowmines actually taking a bit of a beating to them Storms. Really using the Widowmine threat to kind of force the Zealots back a lot of the time, and it's helping a lot. Those Zealots now running into a lot of Widowmines, and the splash damage is going a long way. Eventually here we'll just have to keep on backing away. If no more kind of Widowmines to help him out, I think he's kind of just done for the moment. Nice Storm! That was a sick pickup by Classic, because he picked up the High Templar to flank that army almost. It's a full medevac that gets shut down by the Stalkers there. Well, Kira loses a little bit as he escapes away from that. Classic able to survive with his 4th base about to complete. So getting into a good spot, but Ghosts on the way out, and obviously they should be a bit of a game changer. Classic has had upgrades throughout this as well. 2-2 against the 1-1, and that is definitely helping. Definitely helping at the moment. These Stalkers moving over to the right-hand side again. Command Center building up just up this ramp here. Another Zealot warping in. Scan drops down on top of the army. Marines picking off the Observer, and here we go. This army going to start pressing up. Oh, big EMPs! I mean, it's kind of what you're looking for, right? The High Templars do have Storms available, but man, the EMP is the choke point. Classic is going to get absolutely massacred in the long run here. Another Storm doesn't really make too much of a difference, right? Kira is going to keep pressing through. The Archons warping in. They did get a recharge on their shields, of course, when they warp in. Zealots warping in too. No way is Classic going to make this work. That was such an awful fight. That was actually a horrendous fight. He is going to lose, right? He's going to lose this army. This was ridiculously close in the end. 2-2 finishing definitely helps Kira quite a bit. Kills the War Prism, chases that down. That was worth targeting. Okay, Kira does hold, and in the end, the army supply is a little bit in his favor, but man, that was... I really thought that Classic should have got destroyed there. I guess the High Templars surviving in the War Prism and having some Storms on those obviously did help more than anything else. As we see, this army just set up from Kira. Just out the front, +3 attack and +3 armor on the way. War Prism is Chrono boosting out of the Robo facility as well. This army here from Kira pressing through the center. A couple of these SCVs getting cleaned out, so clean those out. Archon coming in through the center of the map. Oh, nice EMP. Drops on the Zealots and the Immortal there. Just going to be seeing the bio. Picking up even more of these Zealots at the moment. Getting quite a few kills. Another EMP is quite nice. Kira's army supply really is starting to take control of this game, by the way. 74-42. Good split away from the Storm. Just the Widowmine that got caught in it. I love the SCVs to clean out this central path here, because Kira's definitely the one that wants to take advantage of the pushing distance now. Even some probes being pulled forwards into this fight at the moment. As Classic knows he's in a little bit of trouble. EMP doesn't connect on anything of importance. Moving through the center. Now this choke point is actually going to help Kira out, as he kind of already was pulled through it, and Classic's the one that keeps chasing into it. War Prism with the warp in of Zealots is going to go quite a way, and also another nice Storm. And the Zealots are kind of getting blown up by Widowmines. The Storm actually hits some of the Zealots as well. It's just the free upgrades are making it so tough to keep killing those Zealots. But again, eventually the reinforcements, the rallying of Kua should be able to move through this. 34 army supply classic. The upgrades again are really the one thing that's allowing him to hang in here. No storms available right now though, right? And that's a big loss compared to what he's been playing with before now. So that's something he's going to have to be extremely cautious of. Big EMP hits an Archon. That's very big, very nice. And the Zealot's already cleaned out, so it's kind of just Archons. I mean, Archons do okay. They're pretty tanky as well. They don't benefit from the armor upgrades because of the shields. So the shields actually still disappear pretty quickly here. As we're going to be seeing... Oh, again, nice flanker of the Prism, keeping the Archons alive. Classic is going to do whatever he can to survive as long as he can. EMP lands on one of the High Templar. The other High Templar's being warp prismed forwards. It's just crazy. Classic has so much micro and so on here. And that's why he can't, like, he's so good at not dying. Imagine he was able to put this into play when the game was still even. Like, I can't imagine how Kua, like, gets ahead in the first place almost, you know? It's crazy as we see Zealots warping in, but they get picked off as they warping in. That is a dying sign of our Protoss player. The Zealots will drop. The last couple going down. These pylons dropping. Nexus goes down. Game is called, and Kua will take the 2.